Hey guys, welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Gabby Bates, and I'm here with Zach Silverman and Zach Orr. There's a lot of stuff to discuss this week, so let's go ahead and get right down to it. Let's start off with the NFL. We have RG3 back. Romo will be out due to a back strain. We had Geno Smith out for the first quarter last game. And guys, let's just get a recap of this past week's NFL.
Yeah, all right. The first thing I want to talk about is Tony Romo because, gutsy coming back into the game, one of the toughest guys in the NFL at the quarterback position. But when you just had 2 back surgeries in the offseason and you're being counted on with Brandon Weeden behind you, you can't go down back first when there's guys coming up the middle. You have to just, throw the ball away, just let him hit you in the chest, but you can't go down back first when that's your weak point. That's a liability from this point on in the season, and the Dallas Cowboys were having a fantastic season to this point, and that could be a major dent in their chances of making the postseason or of even making some noise in there.
I understand how you can be critical of Romo taking the injury, but I don't understand it at the same time. It's a fast game out there, faster than we at home can appreciate. The guy has to make a split-second decision to turn away from a hit or not turn away from a hit, and it just happens. It's the game of football. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hurt. I don't know if we can necessarily throw all that blame on Romo. You mentioned Brandon Weeden. It could be interesting to see if Weeden plays the entire game. Apparently, Romo is available if he can manage the pain and get through the game. But Weeden starting for the Cowboys this weekend would be quite the sight.
Yeah, two Browns cast-offs playing pretty well this week. Colt McCoy, good again, over 200 yards. Deshaun Jackson was electric. The Redskins look like a better team when Colt McCoy is at quarterback than Kirk Cousins or Robert Griffin III, in my opinion, so far. Brandon Weeden led scoring drives on both of his drives, touchdown and field goal. So, I don't know, were the Browns too quick in catching these guys off, or is maybe Cleveland's just the problem?
And Cleveland's the problem. Cleveland had no running backs and no wide receivers when Colt McCoy was at the helm in Cleveland. I think it's only fair for Jay Gruden to give McCoy another look this week. You have RG3 coming back from another big knee injury, a guy that cannot stay healthy in his time in the NFL so far. Is it worth an almost lost season for the Redskins right now to throw a guy out there that you traded how many picks for to the Rams? Is it worth that risk? And from where I'm sitting, absolutely not. Trot Cole out there again. Maybe have him as some trade bait down the road in the draft. Maybe he's the answer for a team that is not going anywhere fast this season.
Yeah, speaking of a team not going anywhere fast this season, how about the Jets? Geno Smith, interceptions on 3 consecutive drives. When he left the game, they interviewed a Bills player on the sideline, and he was talking about how they were bummed that Geno Smith is leaving the game, the opposing quarterback. I don't think I've ever heard that about any quarterback in the league, let alone, one of the star guys. Michael Vick came in, wasn't much better, threw another pick or 2, fumbled 4 times. Rex Ryan's going to be out of a job.
No, we talked about it again last week. We talked about how it's going to be tough for Rex to save his job in New York this year. The team has just been all over the place. It's been a circus, if you will. Geno seemed unfazed by the fact that he lost the starting job this past week to the media. It was just a next question kind of thing. Can a guy like Mike Vick come in, a veteran at this point, a veteran in every sense of the word at this point, come in and lead a team that has a new weapon in Percy Harvin, that has a somewhat explosive running back in Chris Johnson? Can he lead that team to maybe a victory? I guess we're going to find out.
Maybe a victory. That's
maybe a victory.
Ringing confidence in Michael Vick. What they have to do right now, they have to take a page out of their crosstown rivals playbook, the Bills. They have to bench Geno Smith, just failed experiment, the same way the Bills did with E.J. Manuel. Give the season to the veteran, let him play, hope he can win a couple games. Maybe keep your coach in town. For the Bills, looking like a yes. For the Jets, looking like a no. But speaking of the Bills, how about our boy Sammy this week? Let's get this graphic. Or not.
So, there's a video, I guess. But anyway.
TC Rob Lowe can wait for a little while. Let's go right now to the game rewind, the play that just happened at MetLife Stadium. Kyle Orton, what a beautiful pass to Sammy Watkins. The top 5 draft pick is gone. Puts up a finger, starts up. Oh, kidding me. Sammy thought he had a touchdown, tackled at the 5-yard line.
Sammy's been fantastic for the Bills so far, but that's a bit of a rookie moment.
Guys, we got a real special treat for you this week. We got Dave from Dave's Study Break on the show tonight. He's got a little bit of insight on the man Mike Vick who's going to get the start against Kansas City this week. Dave, how you doing tonight?
You want me to talk about Mike Vick?
I would love for you to talk about Mike Vick.
My favorite player in the NFL, Michael Vick,
Absolutely.
whom I just drafted. Well, not drafted, but added in both my fantasy leagues, Mike Vick.
What do you see Mike Vick doing against Kansas City Chiefs? The Jets are 1-7 right now. 1-7.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Because he's going to Arrowhead Stadium, which is the toughest place to play in the NFL. I don't care what you say about the 12th man in Seattle. Arrowhead is louder. It's just not designed to be as loud decibel-wise, but the people are louder. They're more energetic. They have been for the entire Chiefs organization. Whatever. Mike Vick, he needs a little bit of time. But if you give him that time, he will be much better than Geno Smith. Much better than Geno Smith. He has a cannon of an arm. He's quick. He knows how to get out of trouble.
Mike Vick is a cannon of an arm?
Cannon. Yeah, cannon.
Mike Vick?
A cannon.
Oh, I mean, Duke in his highlight videos coming out of college,
he
can
can
throw 80
he can
yards
sling
from
it,
his
but
knees.
I don't know if he has any accuracy in that arm anymore. You know.
The arm accuracy is there again after a few games, not against the Chiefs. That accuracy is now. He's going to throw 2 interceptions. He'll fumble once, but that's because he's going to get like 80 yards on the ground with like
80
8 or
yards
9
on the ground.
Yeah, with like 9 or 10 carries. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Who is he going to throw it to? Jeremy Curley?
Percy Harvin.
You can't trust someone who has a Y in the first name and the last name. No offense to anyone watching. Percy Harvin, you throw him a screen pass, he can't go downfield. We saw that in Seattle, whatever.
All right, so you don't have Vic playing well against Kansas City this weekend. You said a couple of games. They have Pittsburgh, at Buffalo, and Miami for the next couple of games. Do you see him doing well in any of those games? Do you see the Jets winning any of those games? Or is this a one-win team this year?
We got a caller.
Who do we got?
Well, yeah. While we're waiting for
Okay.
that, I do see him winning at least one of those games. I
Okay.
don't know which one. I can't tell you right now.
Sure.
I really, it's Mike Vick.
I mean, Michael Vick was brought in to be a veteran presence. He was brought in to bring some stability, some leadership, and he wasn't even prepared going into the first game they played this season. I mean, that's the exact reason he was brought in. How can you not be prepared?
It's Rex Ryan, you know. Classic Rex Ryan. He knows how to run a defense, not a team, probably.
What kind of caller we got here?
You know, Mike Vick, much better than Geno Smith.
Yeah,
we all
it's
know
kinda
that.
wonderful.
Back to the Cowboys. If we're going to talk about backup quarterbacks right now, Brandon Weeden has the best backup job in all of the NFL.
Colt
because-
McCoy.
Brandon Weeden, meaning the town he's got around him. Colt McCoy, he has to fit in some passes. But Brandon Weeden, you just throw it anywhere near Des Bryant, he'll catch it. You watch him in the end zone, right, Gabby? Yeah,
I agree.
And
Who is it?
hand it off to DeMarco Murray. Oh, we got a caller.
Is it a? Oh God.
Oh.
Hey,
I used to be
Caleb.
the equipment manager of the soccer team, by the way.
Here we go. What we got?
Yes, I was wondering, I heard that you were at the game, Zach, right?
Oh, this is Tom. Yeah. What do you got, Tom?
Were you paying attention to the game by any chance? Or was there, like, a girl involved in, like, messing you up?
What messed me up?
A girl?
Okay. A girl, Tom?
Yeah, was your name Kristen by any chance?
You realize you're live on air, right? We are on air right now, Tom.
Live action, right?
You can hang up on him anytime you want. Yeah, we'll get to that off air, Tom. Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Friends are delightful.
Oh no, they're great guys. Yeah, actually, we went to the soccer game last night. Clemson pulled out a nice 2-0 win against USF. That was a great win for the Clemson men's team. Dominant performance as the number 19 team in the country right now. So kudos to them.
Ranked higher than the football team.
Absolutely.
Brad Brownell's a great guy. Not Brad Brownell.
That's the basketball coach.
The coach that I used to work for, whatever his name is. He's really nice. Anyway.
Great.
Sammy Watkins, by the way, that messed up touchdown, he still had a bunch of catches for about 157 yards and another touchdown. So
Yeah, I agree. I think Sammy's doing really great in the NFL. Coming on last week, he had an excellent performance. I guess we just have to overlook this.
Yeah.
he's a rookie. I mean,
Exactly.
he's still not Deshaun Jackson. You remember some of the Deshaun Jackson screw-ups when he was younger for the Eagles. I mean, just like throwing the ball away right before the goal line. Oh, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I don't
Looking
think
at
that's
Catanzaro,
Sammy.
too. Catanzaro's done really good in the NFL, too. A lot of the Clemson Tiger players this year in the NFL have done an excellent job. They really
Yeah.
showed
Rashad
their
Breeland,
potential.
4th-round pick out of here to Washington, shut down Des Bryant last night.
Ended the game.
Yeah.
I mean, just had a fantastic game covering one of the best receivers in football.
He's really Clemson. Apparently, while they might not be superstars when they're here, they know they're trained. Apparently we're doing something right. I don't know. But Catanzaro, has he missed a kick yet?
No, he's not.
Bad.
Okay, guys, let's
There it
talk
is.
about some MLB. Tonight we have the game tied up. World Series kicked off last Tuesday, but anyways,
What?
we have a tied up game, the game 7 this week. Guys, what do you think about the game tonight?
Go ahead, Silverman.
All right. Well, we got Tim Hudson and Jeremy Guthrie. Interesting pitching matchup. Jeremy Guthrie, not a lot of playoff experience. Tim Hudson, a guy with a lot of division series experience. Guy who had never pitched in the LCS. Guy who had never pitched in the World Series. Now he's pitching a World Series Game 7. The real question for me is, do the nerves get to him? I think they do. I think Kansas City's going to have a big couple first innings. I think they're going to bring in Madison Bumgarner, who has been dynamite.
Lights out.
He'll shut him down for a couple innings. The question is, will the Giants be able to get a lead back before they can get to the 7th and get to this phenomenal bullpen for Kansas City? And if after a team like this, I think I'm going to stick with the Giants.
Yeah, we're through one inning in the game tonight so far. Apparently, Hudson had a little bit of trouble in the first against the Royals, so maybe you are onto something there. We're going to see Bumgarner tonight unless Hudson really turns it on and surprises us all. Bumgarner, like you said, has been dominant over the series. Game 5, arguably the best performance we've seen since Roy Halladay's no-no in the playoffs a couple of years ago. It's going to remain to be seen. It's a long game, obviously. 9 innings is a very long time. A lot of things can happen. It's going to be exciting. It's the World Series, people. Go watch, turn it on, Fox, and enjoy it.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see this game go to extra innings. The one thing about this series that's been most surprising for me, Bruce Bochy, Hall of Fame manager, phenomenal tactical decision maker.
Sure.
Decision to leave Bumgarner until Game 5, not start him in Game 4. Yes, that would be on 3 days rest, and Game 7 would also be on 3 days rest. But we've seen that before with these ace-type pitchers. We've seen it have some success, it have some varying results, but I think Madison Bumgarner is a guy who, they were asking him about, what's your availability for Game 7, like how many pitches are you going to throw? I don't believe in pitch counts.
Yeah.
How many innings can you throw? Like, well, as many as Bruce will let me. I mean, this is a guy, he's a gamer, he's competitive as anyone. I think he would be able to go 5 or 6 innings if they really needed out of him tonight. That said, you don't want to waste the headline talent. He's going to be a top-of-the-line starter for the next 8 to 10 years. You don't want to blow that on one World Series, but at the same time, it's Game 7 of the World Series.
It's Game 7 of the World Series, exactly. So, I mean, the guy can throw 5 innings tonight, and he can be fine. He's got how many months to rest up until March or early April next year for training camp. There's no reason for him not to pitch tonight. He's been your best pitcher so far. He's going to be good. I mean, who are you going to throw out there? You're going to trot 10 Lincecum out there, a guy who won you a World Series, who did. And if you had come to me, 5 years ago and told me, or 3 years ago, and said Tim Lincecum was going to be pitching as a relief pitcher in the World Series in years to come, I would punch you right in the nose. I mean, that's absurd. That guy was dynamite, lights out, unbelievable. And the fact that he's out of the bullpen right now, it's just mind-boggling, and it shows you how crazy the game of baseball can be, even though people don't pay attention to it that much. But yeah, the Giants took a 1-0 lead, and we'll see if Guthrie can keep it together up in Kansas City tonight.
Okay, guys, now for some college football. The playoff rankings came out last night. We have Mississippi State at number 1, Florida State at number 2, and Auburn at number 3. Guys, what do you think about this week's playoff rankings?
I mean, I'm not sure. Can you say SEC bias? 3 SEC teams in the top 4. Ole Miss literally just lost to LSU, a 2-loss team. Yes, that game was on the road. But, I mean, when you have other teams losing, like if Florida State lost, they would probably drop to 7 or 8. Notre Dame lost, they dropped all the way down to 10. When Oregon lost, they were up down to 16. An SEC team loses, they dropped 2 spots. It's ridiculous.
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Ole Miss, the fact that we're talking about Ole Miss as the number 4 team in the country right now, it just does not make sense on a fundamental basis. They lost to an LSU team who beat them at home. They played a great game. It was a great game to watch. I don't know if anybody actually caught the game. It was exciting. I don't understand the thought process on 4th down. Why not kick the field goal, go to overtime if you're at Ole Miss? But instead, the decision is made to trot Bo Wallace back out there. Bo Wallace, is that his name? Yeah, Bo. Mm-hmm. And have him throw an interception. I didn't understand the play call. I still don't understand the play call, and I think that's something that's going to maybe haunt Ole Miss down the road because it was a makeable field goal. It was 48 yards, and that ties the game up, and you get another shot at LSU in overtime, and that's anybody's ball game, as we very well know. I don't understand that call.
Yeah, it's 4th and 8.
Yeah.
Not an easy play, but to go to the end zone, I think that's the Bo Wallace mistake that we've been waiting for all season for him to make. You don't have to go for the end zone. You don't have to go for the score. You don't have to win the game on that play. You can check down. You can get the first down, and you can keep the drive rolling.
They couldn't. That was the end of it right there. There wasn't enough time left to even do anything. It was kick the field goal or throw a Hail Mary. That was the play call. And that came in from the sideline. There was no reason. There's no reason to make that play call. It's unheard of. There's a reason Ole Miss is Ole Miss. they don't deserve to be in the number 4 spot right now. You got a team like Oregon, a team like Alabama, if you will, even the TCU or Michigan States of the world have a much more better claim to the number 4 spot right now. Even though it's only week 1 of the rankings, it's still ridiculous that we're talking about Ole Miss as the first one lost or the second one lost team in here right now.
Well, I mean, Alabama's been on a mission since the loss to Ole Miss, but don't forget that they still lost to Ole Miss.
They did, absolutely.
And I mean, all these teams still have losses built in. Auburn still has to play Alabama. Auburn still plays Mississippi State next week, I believe, this week. Okay. Mississippi State plays Ole Miss, so these teams are going to knock each other off. So I think that might be some of the thinking behind the early high rankings. And don't forget that if Georgia wins the SEC, potentially all of these teams could be missing the playoff.
No, that's true. I mean, that's what makes it exciting. Hopefully it's a good experiment, if you will. It's the first year, obviously, running this ranking system. Our very own Dan Radakovich is a member of the committee. It would be interesting to see if we can't get some insight from him, but maybe we'll do that again next week. Gabs?
Okay, now for some NBA, guys. Let's get some rankings, ranking predictions for this year's NBA season. We had the NBA start the other day. I want to get some insight from you guys on the NBA this season.
Well, I mean, for me, it's all about the Western Conference when you're talking about the NBA. The two teams in the East, the Bulls and the Cavs. You have one that's got a whole new crew together. The other one is waiting for Derrick Rose to see if he can be that guy that he was, the MVP caliber player, before going down with that injury. I mean, he hasn't played a meaningful game of basketball since I've been in college, it feels like. And we'll see if he can put it together. We'll see how the big three can do. I think Kevin Love is going to get lost in this a little bit, the same way that Chris Bosh did when he first went down. The guy going from being the absolute unquestioned leader of a team to being the third banana. We'll see how we can handle that. But I mean, you're talking in the West. You got the Spurs, who are looking to do something they haven't done yet, which is repeat for all the 5 rings, but none of them back to back. Thunder going to be missing Kevin Durant early, which could put him back in the seeding, really shake things up if they're the 4 or 5 seed with a healthy KD in the playoffs. You still got Memphis, Golden State. You got the Clippers. I mean, the Western Conference is absolutely loaded. What do you think, Dave?
One comment about the NBA, and this is a question I have for you guys. I think I know the answer, but I'm not so sure. Did the Spurs lose anyone during the offseason? Anyone at all? Anyone of their guys? No. I don't hear anything. The Spurs win because I'm not going to get cute with picks like everyone tries to do. You go with the Spurs. You go with the best team. You don't have to, they're getting old. Tim Duncan can't run down the field or the court as fast. It's solid fundamental basketball. But Golden State has been playing well for the past few years, and I think maybe this is their season to do something. They've got some good shooters and some good play. I don't watch many basketball games.
If we're talking about basketball, there's no reason we shouldn't be talking about only 2 teams, and that's it. The Spurs are one of them because you're right. They play great fundamental basketball. Popovich does a phenomenal job out there. We won't ever know how he does it. He doesn't tell us how he does it. He just sits there and looks at the camera during interviews. The other team we need to be talking about is in the East. I know the West is stacked this year, but in the East, you have Cleveland. You have LeBron James, hands down, no questions asked, the best player in the NBA right now. You have Kevin Love, who is the third banana, if you will, but he's a guy who I think is a better player than Chris Bosh ever was. I think he's going to be able to adapt and maybe succeed a little bit better and quicker than Chris Bosh was able to. And then you have a young Dwayne Wade and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is phenomenal. I mean, he is really, you can make an argument, the best point guard in the league right now. Is that going to be enough? We'll see. 3 guys, there's only 1 ball on the court, but I think the Cavs come out of the East rather easily, and you'll see a Cavs-Spurs matchup in the finals this year.
Let me give you a little insight as to why these Cavs are not the same as the Heat.
Sure.
First of all, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were both players that had led their individual teams into the postseason, that had a little bit of success in the postseason. Dwayne Wade already had a ring before LeBron even got there. Kyrie Irving, been in the league for 4 years, not taking a team to the playoffs. Kevin Love has been in there almost twice that long, not taking a team to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's been in a stacked Western Conference. Kyrie's been in an extraordinarily weak East and has not gotten it done. I think these guys are not as experienced. They're not going to be on the same level. I think Chicago, and my sleeper pick for the NBA this year, the Wizards, are ahead of the Cavs right now. I mean, the Wizards were a playoff team last year that was making some noise. They beat the Bulls. They added Paul Pierce. I mean, John Wall, Bradley Beal, Paul Pierce, Nene, Martin Gortat. That's a fantastic lineup.
I mean, that's a great point with the fact that they've never taken their teams to playoffs. But at the same time, I believe when Wade made his big run by himself without LeBron, he had a certain big man he was throwing the ball to down under the hoop, Mr. Shaquille O'Neal. So, let's take that with a grain of salt, if you will. Wade has had some help in the past, and like you said, it's only his 4th year in the league for Irving. He's still a young kid, but he's explosive. He's creative. He can dish the ball. He played great for Team USA. Kyrie Irving is going to do big things this year, and I think you're going to see that. A lot of teams pay a lot of attention to LeBron, and Kyrie is going to be the best team on that, our best player on that team. Yeah, that's a statement.
What?
I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
The Heat, besides LeBron, did they lose anyone else? Are they still the big 2 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, relatively intact. Yeah.
What do you think?
Ray
about,
Allen.
Right. Yeah. What do you think about their chances? I think they'll be just as good. Honestly, I don't think LeBron was that important. He's a talent there, but I think they can. I think they could play well without him. And Shaquille O'Neal was past his prime when he played for the Heat.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
he won a ring with the Heat.
Yeah, I mean,
Past his prime.
Shaquille was what, 35.
Won a ring.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs. They're not going to be the 1 seed. They're not going to dominate the conference. They'll be a 4 or 5 seed. Maybe win the division. Maybe win a series or 2 if they get. I mean, Charlotte too. Charlotte's looked pretty good with the addition of Lance Stevenson. It was absolute nuisance, but kid can play. What do you think? Heat first round win.
I think the Heat go into the playoffs. They're gonna want to show that they're not just the LeBron James show, really. And I mean, it's Dwayne Wade. He's not the same Dwayne Wade he was when he carried the team, but they still have Chris Bosh, who, in my opinion, is the best player in basketball, and Ray Allen, who's the best shooter in basketball, second to Dirk.
Dave, have you heard of like Kevin Durant or LeBron James or
you guys must
Chris
not
Paul,
remember
Steph Curry.
Chris Bosh playing for Toronto. Maybe you weren't speaking at that point. You were too young.
Oh, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan are pretty good in
crib.
Toronto right now. They made the playoffs last year without Chris Bosh.
Toronto's a sleeper team. That is what you.
I'm trying to get into some Kobe
Close.
Bryant. We got Kobe Bryant
Let's
coming
talk
back
about
this
Kobe.
season.
Let's talk about Kobe.
What do you think about Kobe Bryant coming back this season? Anything from him this year?
I mean, can you name another Laker? I mean, it's literally just Kobe. Julius Randle broke his leg first game into his NBA career.
Steve Nash is always hurt.
Steve Nash is out for season. They lost Pau Gasol. I mean, who else on that team? Nick Young, Jeremy Lin.
Iggy.
Jeremy Lin is not.
So we don't
Yeah.
see the Lakers going anywhere.
No, I don't see the Lakers making the play, especially not in this Western Conference. I think they'll finish well below 500.
Kobe did great things for the Lakers for a lot of years, and they paid him all that money for doing those great things. And he's not going to do great things. What is it? 2 years left on the contract. He's not going to do great things in LA. He's still a good basketball player, but he's not an elite basketball player anymore.
What we'll see next year. 2016 is a huge free agent year for the NBA. They've got Kevin Durant. They've got Rajon Rondo. They've got a lot of good free agents that are coming to be. If they can get one of those guys for Kobe's last year, and if they don't do well this year, they'll have another high draft pick to go with Julius Randle returning from the broken leg. So they could have a squad then. Not this year.
Okay, here's my question for you guys. Kobe Bryant, are we gonna see the old Kobe, the old drive through the lane, flip off his old teammates and just score? Is he gonna do that this year? Just the classic Kobe stuff.
I hope he drops 30 a night, but I'm not sure he's got the legs for it at this moment.
Is he gonna pass?
I don't know if he'll pass. I think he'll take the shot, but I don't think he's going to go. He's not.
He
the
might be
same
missing
player.
more shots than usual.
You're going to see that.
I have a feeling we're going to see the Kobe we all know and love.
We saw him in the preseason with his media interviews. He's been slamming his teammates in the media, just kind of giving them crap and this, that, and the other. So yeah, hopefully we see that, and hopefully he provides us with some entertainment. But I don't think he'll be the same Kobe that we saw that was at a dominant level 3-4 years ago. Gabby.
All right, now on to some hockey, guys. Let's talk about some hockey. Let's get into some hockey.
Yeah, let's talk some hockey. Here we go. Interesting week in the NHL this past week. I know my friend Zach here has a little bit of a problem with the Bruins right now. Lost two big defensemen for the Bruins. Daniel Chara is out for 3 to 4 weeks. And they just lost Torrey Krug last night with a broken finger for 2 to 3 weeks. Those are two big cogs on the defense for the Bruins. I don't know if the Bruins can plug that hole right now, especially the 6'9", 250-pound hole that Chara leaves on defense.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can replace Chara. I mean, he's the biggest guy in the NHL by far.
Mm-hmm.
Not only in stature but also in minutes. I mean, he plays 22, 25 minutes every night. He's been phenomenally consistent as well as just outstanding, always a Norris Trophy candidate.
Sure.
But, I mean, with Chara gone, there's a big hole. But the guy who's got to step up for me is not one of the defensemen, it's Tuukka Rask. Tuukka Rask, Vezina Trophy winner last year. He's proven that he can play at a big-time level. We'll see if he can do it without the big man standing in front of him. I think he can. I think he can carry a team. I think the Bruins will be just fine. I think they're still going to make the playoffs. They're still going to be able to make some noise there. For me, hockey and basketball are kind of running parallel right now. Just all about the West.
All about the West. Okay. Well, speaking of the West, we have a team that we've heaped praise on for the first couple of weeks talking about them. San Jose, losers of 4 straight coming into last night's game. What's happened to this team? They lost to the Sabres, was their last loss on Saturday night. Buffalo is not a good team. Buffalo is not going to be a good team this year. What's going wrong in San Jose right now?
They might honestly just be a streaky team. I mean, we saw this in the playoffs last year: win 3 and then lose 4. They might just be like win 5, lose 4, win 6, lose 8, they could go like that all season potentially with the offensive firepower they have. It can sometimes go dormant. Antiniemi has been a championship goaltender in the past. He's also been a guy who's looked not deserving of a roster spot in the past. So I think they're going to be up and down. Still a lot of phenomenal talent on that team. I
want to give you credit for what you talked about last week. You talked about a team in Minnesota, maybe a team that has something coming together finally. They had a tough loss to the Rangers last night. Gave up 5 goals, actually. They were up 3-0 and ended up losing 5-4 to that game. Aside from that, this is a team that's kind of put some stuff together in the early part of the season. They have the best goal differential in the league right now at plus 13. You got a bona fide superstar in Zach Parise up there in Minnesota. The guy can straight up play. Obviously, you have a big man and Suter on the back end. Maybe the only question in Minnesota right now is do they have a goalie? Can they have somebody stop some pucks up there and give their offense and defense some time to breathe every now and again?
Yeah, Darcy Kemper was good all of last season. He's coming off an injury. He should be good this year. They could always go and re-sign Brizgalov, who played very well for them last year. Another team that I think surprised a lot of people in the West is Calgary so far. Calgary, a team that people thought were going to be picking first overall, is they're 5-4. They got 12 points. I don't know how they're quite doing it, but they're doing all right.
Well, yeah, this is a Calgary team that lost their arguably best offensive player to the Devils this past offseason, in Mike Camilleri. You're 100% correct. They were rumored to be, tanking for the first overall pick, get as much of a chance in the draft lottery as possible. But you're right. It's a good start for them at 5-4. Even though that's just over 500 basketball, it happens. Basketball. We just talked basketball. And we'll see what they can do. The Flames have been a team that haven't quite been the same ever since Gilney left a couple of years ago. Time will see if they can pick it up and maybe make a move late in the season.
And how about your Devils?
Devils have they've been up and down. They're a 4-3-2 team right now. They took a tough loss to Pittsburgh last night. A tough loss, 8-3. They were up 3-0 at one point, I believe. 2-0 at one point. I don't know what to do with this Devil team. Luckily, I started Corey Schneider in fantasy last night. He gave me a nice solid -5 points. It's a team that is an old veteran team, and when they're on, they're exactly that. They're old, they're slow, and there's that and the other. And when they're on, or when they're not on, or when they are on, they're a veteran team. They know how to play. They know how to play the game. They have experience, and they can help the young guys on the team. It's gonna be an interesting season. Does Pete DeBoer keep his job? No, in my opinion, he's not going to. This team has not won a shootout in 18 straight games or 18 straight appearances. It's just not possible to keep that record up and expect to have a job in the next couple of games.
Yeah, you're going to talk about an old veteran team. You're going to talk about Jaromir Jagr as essentially the face of that team right now. You're talking about a wily old veteran. He's that guy. There's only 2 guys in the NHL. The NHL has a maximum stick length, right? There's only 2 guys in the NHL that are allowed to go over it. One is Chara because he's 7 feet. If he was playing with a regular stick, it would look like one of those little plastic toy ones. And Jaromir Jagr, a guy who's 6'3" and has the same wingspan. He's a freak in nature. He has more control over a puck than I've seen anyone control anything. Just phenomenal talent. Sneakily making the case for the best of all time. If he hadn't spent 5 years of his prime in the KHL over in Russia, we might be talking about him next to Gretzky and Lemieux right now.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, and it's absolutely impressive to see him play a game night in and night out. But I think in New Jersey right now, you're going to look at a guy like Adam Henrique. Adam Henrique is a guy that had a huge playoffs in 2012 for the Devils. Scored the game winner in the Florida series and the game winner in the Rangers series in the conference finals. This is a guy that maybe the torch is kind of being passed now. It's his year to maybe pick it up and run with it. Can he score 75, 80 points for the Devils. They need it. They absolutely do need it, and it's gonna be a long season if he doesn't. But all signs point to him making a major step forward in his offensive game, and that's really, really exciting to see for Devils management and Devils fans everywhere.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, now we're going to get into some Clemson football. Last weekend we saw Clemson play Syracuse at homecoming. They came out with a win, but many say it was a struggle. The defense, once again, for the third straight game, they pulled Clemson out of the hole. Guys, let's get a recap of the strengths and weaknesses of the Tigers during Saturday's games. Why are we throwing so many interceptions? What's up with all the turnovers? What happened to us Saturday? Why do we seem like we're struggling and the defense continuously has to pick us up?
I mean, yeah, right now you really can't say enough about this defense. They're playing phenomenally. They're pretty much just winning games on their own. And when you talk about the offense, I think, you really just can't get much worse right now. A lot of picks, a lot of 3-and-outs. I mean, the play calling has still been lackluster. If Chad Morris is listening, I told you to get on this last week. You need a better game plan. Cole Stout should not be running 10 quarterback draws in a whole game, let alone on consecutive drives. I mean, it's ridiculous.
We talked about what's wrong with the offense, and I took some heat from people on the show and my friends and family last week for really, getting on Cole Stout about his play. And it showed again this week. He wasn't good. He threw a touchdown pass, to his credit. Should have been 2, actually. And he still wasn't good. He's just not a guy to take the reins of a Clemson offense that Chad Morris designed. This offense is for a fast-paced offense. It's for a quarterback that can provide some time with his legs and create opportunities for the team, for the offense around him. You talk about Morris having to maybe reduce his role, maybe switch up the offense a little bit, and we see that. That's why we're seeing so many stinking screens to the left, to the right. It's because he's not comfortable with those down-the-field throws, those crossing routes, those timing routes. This is a guy who sat out a couple of weeks with Deshaun just absolutely lighting it up, and it takes time. It takes time to build that trust and that confidence with your receivers again. We're not going to see that from him. I don't anticipate seeing that from him. We're going to see much of the same against Wake Forest as we saw this past weekend against Syracuse. It's just going to be a lot of draw plays, a lot of draws to the running back, to the quarterback, screen plays, and the occasional deep chance to Mike Williams or Kyron Priester, something like that. It's going to be the defense that carries this team from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a game for Cole Stout to break out, it was Syracuse. I mean, Last year against Syracuse, when Taj was hurt, he was 19 of 20. He played a phenomenal game against pretty much the same defense as last year, and he just couldn't get it done on Saturday. Luckily, this defense is potentially the best in the country right now, I think. But we just need to take a page out of what Alabama used to do with A.J. McCarron. You just hand the ball off almost every single play, occasionally do a play action, give Cole lots of time. And
we're not that offense, though. Everybody wants to talk about how we need to, just fix it, just do this, do that, and the other. He's being paid for a reason. He came up with an offense that worked, an offense that has been successful. And I know it's not working with Cole Stout, but it does work for Deshaun Watson, and that's what's going to remain in place. They're not going to switch an entire offense out for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, however long Deshaun's going to be out, just because a guy is inept at running an offense that he signed up to run. You need to just dumb down the offense, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And it causes a lot of frustration from fans, and understandably so, because it's not exciting. It's not the 28 points and we get to go eat at Bojangles after the game offense again. It's the grind it out and win 16-6, really rely on, like you said, maybe the best defense in the country to get you some wins, and hopefully we hold on. That's exactly what this team is right now, and that's what's going to be going into the Georgia Tech game and ultimately the South Carolina game.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to give you a prediction for Wake Forest, it's going to be 10-0. That's
Sure.
my scoreline.
Sure. Dave, you got anything to add?
I'm sure Gabby and I have something to add about Clemson football. We suffered through that game as well. I didn't suffer. My favorite part about Clemson football is the defense. Brent Venables is my favorite coach in college football, and he's finally earning his pay, if you ask me. I was so pumped when we got him here because Oklahoma's defense was good when we got him, and he's finally getting his guys in. He's finally teaching them how to tackle. I roll because we tackled last game. I'll tell you, we tackled, and that's just the best. And the downfield coverage is good. I'm really liking watching them. Not liking watching our offense. Wayne Gallman,
yeah.
He's very good. I enjoy watching him. He's quick. I think we should find more creative ways of getting him the ball, not just hand it off on a draw, not just hand it off between the tackles. I'm thinking cool screen passes. We don't have to throw a screen to Artavis Scott every time we throw a screen pass. He's good. but we expect it. I think getting Wayne Gallman in the game. More exciting. Gabby, anything?
Well, yeah, I wanted to say something about Ammon Lakip. I thought Ammon did a great job. He's really stepped his game up since the Florida State game. We saw him really struggle in Florida State game. A lot of people were really aggravated with him. And then he comes into these past few games, Syracuse games, and he really helps us win these games. I mean, we talk about defense, but we also have to look at special teams. And we look at Ammon Lakip, and he made every single field goal. Some were far out there, some were close, but still he's becoming more accurate, and he's one reason why I think our Clemson is winning the game. I don't think it's just defense. Yes, our defense is great, but we also have to look at special teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can draw a little bit of a parallel to Catman from his first year when he came up. He had a terrible game at Florida State. He missed 2 field goals. Everyone was on him, calling for his job, the same way that it was with Lakip. And, I mean, Catman went on to have a phenomenal ACC record-setting career. Hopefully we can see the same out of Lakip. But, I mean, he doesn't have to match that. Obviously, there's big shoes to fill. But if he just keeps making field goals, it's going to help the Tigers win, especially in a Cole Stout offense when we need field goals more than ever.
Yeah, the guy, he has, to his credit, stepped up the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of people out there, myself included, that have not forgotten that Florida State game, and they're not going to forget it anytime soon. So the more field goals he makes and puts distance between those, that's fine, and we're excited to see it. And he has been a huge part, and that cannot be overstated. He has been critical to the Clemson offense that has been anemic for the last couple of weeks. You mentioned a guy like Wayne Gallman, who actually went over 100 yards this past week. Took him 27 carries to get there or something like that. Averaged just under 4 carry. That's something that's exciting to see. We're getting a little bit of push up front. It's exciting to see maybe a bit of a running game emerging, maybe a star emerging, if you will. Wayne Gallman is a guy that was highly recruited out of Georgia, I believe. He can play. The guy can play, and it's exciting to see. Maybe a guy like Tyshawn Dye coming back from injury with the Achilles gets a couple touches next week against Wake Forest. It's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun to see if we can't get a little bit of running game going and take the pressure off of Cole Stout. Maybe he doesn't have to make as many passes down the field or throw as many to the side that it can possibly be intercepted because he telegraphs those throws. Let's push this running game as far as it can go.
Yeah, I mean, especially, we're not 100% sure if Cole Stout is over the shoulder injury that originally put him out. But what's interesting to note is that this is a total 180 from the Clemson teams the past few years. If you had told me we were going to be winning games 16-6 rather than 66-56, I would have thought you were crazy. But it's been a really quick turnaround from a fantastic offense and a terrible defense to what is now a struggling offense and a fantastic defense.
Sure.
I think another thing we have to give props to is Bradley Pinion, our punter. He sees more touches than any player out there on the field, and I cheer for him every time. And I haven't seen a bad punt out of him. He doesn't shank it, nothing. He kicks off perfectly every time. We always calling on him to punt. Chad Morris does that punt play he really loves, the one? He tries to get to it as quick as possible, but it's good, and it's been working. I mean, because they've been pushing the field position down there. Our defense has been holding them, and they have to punt, so he's doing a great job.
Yeah, if I were Jacksonville, I would look at him hard in the 3rd round.
Definitely. No. Yeah. And also, more props to Eamon Lakip. He must have dropped a class or something and spent more time kicking because he has clearly gotten better. I see him in practice also. He used to miss a lot of kicks and warm-ups, and now he missed, I think, one when I was watching warm-ups. That's really something.
All right, yeah.
Absolutely.
Gabs?
Okay, guys, that's it for our show. Tune in next Wednesday to watch it again and get on in the action. Thanks, guys.